Despite a not-so-hot start last week, Star Wars continues to expand on the story of the galaxy's most famous bounty hunter. This is my spoiler review of Episode 2 of the Book of Boba Fett. After last week's assassination attempt on his life, Boba Fett interrogates one of the would-be assassins and finds out soon enough that there are more threats and more enemies than he expected. Now, before I properly get started with my review of the Book of Boba Fett Episode 2, I want to know your thoughts on it. Let me know any and everything in the comments below. And if you like movies and TV, this is the place to be, so make sure you consider clicking that subscribe button so you don't miss any future conversation on your favorite movies and TV, including coverage for the Book of Boba Fett every week. Now, I wasn't too hot on last week's episode. I thought it didn't do anything to set up what will be the story of this show. And today's episode, I like a little bit more. I feel it's a stronger episode of television, just a stronger story overall, but I'm becoming increasingly nervous about this show. Today's episode is really a two-parter episode per se, where the first 15 minutes, when the show explores the power dynamics, and turns out it wasn't the mayor that sent these assassins to Boba Fett. And the mayor is happy to pay any of the prices to Boba Fett that he demands. And we see this stern, serious, commanding side of Boba, but also merciful. He's willing to spare this assassin's life as long as he talks. I really love how Boba throws him down to the Rancor pit, and I kept thinking, wait, the Rancor is gone. Did they get another Rancor or what? And it was just a prank. I really like that. And these first 15 minutes of the episode are so built with intrigue and conflict and story that just build on what the show will be about. They're so interesting, be it with the mayor that I'm sure is hiding something, Boba not caring what the major domo is saying, just walking into his office. Soon enough, we're presented to Jabba's cousins who want to take over this territory, because it doesn't belong to Boba, it belongs to the Hutts and whatnot. And they even have who seems to be Black Chrysanthemum, I think that's how you pronounce his name, from the comics. He is here, a badass looking Wookiee, and I'm so glad they did it in practical effects. Yet again, this moment just so great. Again, with intrigue. The lady taking over the bar, I think she's gonna have a much bigger part to play than we expect at this point. Everything about this is interesting. Everything about this sets up interesting conflicts and character dynamics with Boba and his would-be enemies. Because now he has several threats coming from several sides. So he needs to watch his back. And it's just filled with great character moments between him and Fennec. And I said this last week, but I just love seeing Temuera Morrison in this role. He seems to be having a ball playing this. And he truly was born to play Boba Fett. He's just having the time of his life, and I'm just so happy for him. From then on, after this quick confrontation with the Hutts and with Black Chrysanthemum, which again, so great. The little interaction with the lady from the bar, who I don't remember her name right now. I'll probably put her name right here. From then on, we go to the Bacta tank. And the rest of the episode, it's a big episode, it's like 51 minutes or something. The rest of the episode, however, the rest of 35 minutes, maybe even 40 minutes, it's just going back again to his time with the Tusken Raiders. Which, thematically, it fits with the show, because we're learning how Boba learned his way of leadership. What his beliefs about leadership and the way he wants to rule over Mos Espa as the daimyo, he learned from his time with the Tusken Raiders. That's fine. But get to the fucking point. This entire episode is 10 minutes of story progression and setting up the story of what the show will be about. And then the bulk of it is going back. It's learning how he got his cool weapon. It's learning how he got his robes that he used when we first met him back in Mandalorian Season 2. And there's great action sequences when he's trying to infiltrate a train with the Tusken Raiders. He teaches them how to ride these speeder bikes. Great moments. But the show is doing more backtracking, and it feels really like it's filling up time rather than moving forward, rather than telling its own story. And I feel like these two stories don't coalesce together very well. They don't make for a cohesive episode of television entirely. I personally could take either of these stories. Whether it is now Boba Fett trying to take over Mos Espa as its daimyo, or this backstory of how Boba Fett survived after the Sarlacc pit. But I don't think the two go together at all very well. I feel like we set up Boba Fett in the show The Mandalorian to now move him forward and see this side of Boba Fett, where he tries to take over as this godfather of crime of sorts. I just don't think it's that interesting to go back and spend most of the time in that time frame between when Boba turns out he survived the Sarlacc pit and whatnot, and we know where he's going to go after that. He's going to go to the Mandalorian, and I just think we're filling up time. And for a 7-episode season, we're now in episode 2, and all they did when it comes to move forward was those first 10 minutes, where all they did is set up what the show is about. In episode 2, that should have been the first thing they do in episode 1, in that premiere. So I'm growing increasingly worried and frustrated at this point with Boba's show. It's a show that I enjoy watching. It's a show that has fun moments, fun character interactions, fun character dynamics. It has a good premise. Clearly now, they show they have a good premise. But they're just not telling an interesting story. Or at least they're telling two interesting stories that do not coalesce, and it feels we're not moving forward. We're constantly going back where the path to move forward is right there in those first 10 minutes. If I could just judge or enjoy those first 10 minutes, this would be great. If this was a 10-minute episodes, a seven episode season with 10-minute episodes, those first 10 minutes, 10 or 15, I don't know, where he meets the Hutts and that would be amazing. Great, fantastic episodes. But it's not just that. It's going back to explore all these different questions that I was not asking and that I don't find that interesting. Getting quick glimpses at the flashbacks would be interesting, and see how they now parallel what is happening now in the present with Boba Fett. But spending most of the time in the flashbacks, I think it's a terrible mistake that at this point it has become very frustrating for me. And while I think again that this episode at least does something to move forward compared to last week's, it's still a very worrisome episode when it comes to looking at the grand picture and where the show could be headed. And so I hope they fix this soon enough. I hope by next episode it's maybe we go back a little bit more to flashbacks for like 5-10 minutes in total, but we spend the bulk of the episode in the present and seeing Boba Fett trying to shift the balance of power in his favor. Because that's the story. That's what we should be focusing on. And right now, after 2 episodes, we only got 5 left now. It's just not what they're doing, sadly. And so those are my thoughts on this week's The Book of Boba Fett. What did you think about it? Like this week's episode more? Like last week's episode more? I love those first 15 minutes and I just grow frustrated at what happens next. They do it well. This is a Star Wars production. They got the effects, they got the costumes, they got the cinematographers, they got everything done right. Just what they're doing is not that interesting, and it's not what they should be focusing on. Thank you so much for watching. You are the best. I want to thank my channel members, Bruna and Stuart. And if you want to become a channel member, click the link in the description below. See if it is for you. You'll be supporting the channel and get some perks in return. Thank you so much once more. I'll be back very soon in more videos, and I hope to see you on those. And so until the next one, love each other and love the movies.